you think your colleagues would describe you as a manager?
Some would say I'm strict with what I do.
In one word, how would you define the word manager?
Decision maker.
I am a manager and I am blank.
Tough.
What is up, Night Owls? Welcome to another episode of your favorite podcast, Night Shift. I am Leanna Riambiyahar from 11 ABM3, your host, and I'm not alone this time, guys. I am with the team.
Hello everyone, I am your co-host for tonight. I am Eldon Andre P. Pilar from 11 ABM3.
Hello everyone, I am Joaquin Buliman from 11 ABM3 and I will also be your co-host for tonight.
I know that maybe all of us dreamt of being a managers in the future, even without knowing its responsibilities, right?
Yes, you're right. There's also this one quote that tells us about the feeling of a manager. A manager is not a person who can do the work better than his men, but he is a person who can get his men to do the work better than he can, by Frederick W. Smith.
So for this episode, we will be talking about what it's really like to be a manager.
And with that, this podcast will not be complete without our guest for tonight, who's been in the JME Supreme International Incorporation and has been in the industry for 10 years. Now let us all welcome Mrs. Freya May Trinidad.
Hello, good evening, everyone. Thank you for
Uh,
having me.
Good evening, Miss
Evening.
Freya. First, we would like to thank you for giving us the opportunity to get to know you and your life as a manager.
My pleasure. Good evening. I hope I can instill knowledge to you guys.
Yes, and so while the night is still early, let's get into it, night owls.
So before we begin to the juicy question, let us get to know you and your company first. So what does your company offers, like what are the services po?
Okay, my company, JME Supreme International Inc., is a retailer company. We also import. We are into distribution of wood floorings to different companies. We also cater to Home Depots and to some other architects, builders.
Also, thank you for the answer. So in what part or department do you work for, and what is your position in that department? So it may be HR, human resources, financial, or etc. po.
Um, since I'm a graduate of accountancy, so I'm under the accounting department. Yes, accounting department.
And how many years have you been working in the company and how many years have you been a manager?
For this company, I have been working 10 years already. I started here as a manager na, and previously I was also a building manager for my previous work. So siguro I've been a manager for already more than 10 years, 10 to 12 years.
So being a successful manager, how do you think your colleagues would describe you as a manager?
Hmm. They see me differently. It depends on who I'm working with. Um, some would say I'm strict, but I train them well. I could say I train them well when it comes to their work. But yeah, some would say I'm strict with what I do.
Oh, and the opinions of your colleagues would surely help you as well to know what things you have to work on or when you need to adjust in order to fit the needs of your colleagues as well.
Yeah, that's right. Correct, correct.
I agree as well. And being a manager usually takes most of your time. Can you tell us more about your task or your routine as a manager?
My day starts with checking or signing some documents now, like in the accounting, some purchase orders, vouchers. I see to it that the entries are correct. I also check the ledgers or the books for the entries. Yes, and I sometimes assist the my general manager for whatever um decisions that he would like me to do.
I see. So you carefully plan your day. So throughout your experience, what is the most important role that you think a manager should possess?
Important role to possess. I think how you decide things for the company. That's the most important thing that I have to do. Kasi if you make the wrong decision, that would lead your company to a hindi naman magka-crash, but then it's the accounting is crucial eh. So when you make a wrong decision, it will really cost a lot for the company.
Oh, I see. I know that what you have mentioned has a connection with how you lead. And with that, how do you apply it to your work? Like, what are your strategies or ways to manage the people under your supervision?
I always see to it that they do things carefully. I monitor them. If they have questions, they can approach me. I want them to in every department kasi or every task in accounting there are different tasks. There are accounts receivable, accounts payable, and everything. I want them to explore that. To I want them to cross train for every task so that um they are aware of the work of each one. So whenever this person assigned to this task is not around, somebody can take over. So my staff is being trained in different kinds of jobs so that every every aspect is learned.
I see. I think this next question should help us understand how different managers think. Of course, different managers have different techniques. So I have a situational question for you. So which or what concept do you agree to? Efficient, but it jeopardizes the mental, physical, and the moral of the employee, or effective, but the well-being of the employees are taken care of, but it might take 2 to 3 hours than intended.
Mostly in a corporate world, we would prefer efficient and effective both. That should all, but we want it to go hand in hand, being efficient and being effective. Um, but for me, I would prefer effective, no? There should always be balance of work and life outside of the workplace.
Yes, I agree that we should have it hand in hand, efficiency and being effective. And I also believe that employees should be treated more as a fellow companion in the workplace, right? Rather
Yeah.
than treating them as robots without any consideration of their feelings.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. So, do you think that managers should be controlling of their employees, or should managers be able to train their employees to become more independent on their own?
As I've said earlier, I want to be I am a trainer. I have um I've I've been on a seminar being a trainer. I don't want to be controlling because it's not the for me, the employees would not learn from it if you control them. So I want them to learn on their own. I train them if they want to learn something from me. I am not that madamot to share my knowledge to them. Actually, I want everyone in my department to know what I am doing so that in the future, if they're already worth to be promoted, um they do what I do. It's a learning experience for them. So that whenever because employees are not just don't stick to one employers. They also have their own time to explore from other companies. So I want them when they if ever they leave the company, I want them that to know that they have learned something from me and from what from what I have done before.
Connected to your answer earlier, do you think loyalty plays a big role in leading? Yes or no? And can you give us an
Um,
example or insights about it?
Being loyal can have a disadvantage and advantage, no? Um, yes, being loyal is good because you have people that you can trust. Uh, you get to build strong relationship within the organization, within your department, within your team. But then sometimes loyalty can be detrimental as well. Um, Managers may have the tendency to promote those who are not efficient just by seeing they're loyal to you. Um, Parang you would consider, this one is loyal to me. So although you're although you see that that her work, she's not efficient in her work or in her task, um there are some ano that there's a tendency you would prefer her because of her loyalty. So um there, yes, as I said, there can be advantage and disadvantage for of being loyal. But then maybe if this loyalty can give a benefit to the organization or to the department, then there's this reward and incentive program that you can offer them.
Yes, and also at the same time, we all know that loyalty applies in different situations in our lives outside of the workplace, especially
Mm-mm.
in relationships with the people closest to us.
Yes.
Yes, and since Valentine's is approaching, loyalty must be balanced for every relationship, right?
Yes, not just in
Yes,
the
I agree.
workplace.
I totally agree.
Stop the car. Before we get sidetracked, let's proceed to the next question. It's another situational question. So, what do you think are the essential things or needs that employees need in order to be motivated, based from your own experience? Because, according to Maslow, there's a hierarchy of needs that should be fulfilled. So, we should start from the bottom to the top. So, what is
Mhm.
yours?
For me, as I have experience, maybe from being a starter employee, we should HR follows, usually HR follows the Maslow hierarchy. But then as you go along with the work, as you stay long in a company, as you have experience years in an organization or in any other workplace, I think the essential need for me, in my opinion, is the balanced work environment. Yes, it's good to have a higher salary, but then if you don't love your job, or if you if you are not happy with the workplace, with your colleagues, there's no way you can stay long for that company. You should you would prefer, me, I would prefer a good environment, a happy environment where you can go along with your other colleagues.
Yes, I agree. I think it's really essential to keep your employees motivated. But of course, it won't be easy to give your employees what they want straight away. So, what do you think is the hardest aspect that you have to consider in leading employees or your coworkers?
The hardest aspect is being neutral, both parties, na so that you will not be able to offend both parties, no. It's hard to be when you're a manager. It's hard, as I said, decision making. Who will you believe? Or when there's what you call this, may mga clash with may mga clash sa team mo. So it's sometimes hard to be neutral sa kanila. You have really to decide who would you sino yung um between the parties, kung sino yung papanigan mo.
Yes, and also because different employees have different needs, you also have to put that into consideration, right? And
Yes, especially their emotions.
yes, yes, I agree. And I think that about wraps it up for our main interview segment with Miss Freya. But we still prepared another short segment in order to fill the podcast.
So we have prepared the short segment for this episode, and it is a minute till sunrise. So you have 1 minute to answer all the questions that we throw into you, and strictly no explanation needed. So are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
Okay. Then a minute till sunrise. Let's go.
For work efficiency, less lighting or more lighting in the workspace?
More lighting.
1 hour unpaid lunch break or two 15 minutes paid coffee break.
1 hour lunch break.
Fast food or homemade?
Home cooked food.
Coffee, tea, or water?
Tea.
Control or teach?
Teach.
Work on holidays or work overtime.
Work on holidays.
Dependent or independent?
Independent.
Human skills or technical skills.
Human skills.
In one word, how would you define the word manager?
Decision maker.
I am a manager and I am blank.
Tough.
Yay! And that concludes. You've handled those questions pretty well.
Thank you, thank you.
Mm. We've learned a lot about your experiences, techniques, your insights, as well as your company. So, without managers, organization of things would be really hard. We know it's hard since you have to be creative, understand your coworkers. So, we salute to you and we admire you for that. As
Thank
final
you.
remarks, for our audience watching, do you have any more tips or motivational message for our aspiring managers?
Okay. Being a manager is not an easy task. You have to work hard for it. Many sweat and tears before you can reach that this kind of level in the organization. So when you're there, don't try and do anything on your own. Be a leader who can lead your team, not by controlling them, but allowing them to learn. Teach them all the experience that you have. Work hard and play hard, and be an inspiration to those employees who are aspiring to be managers in the future.
Yes, thank you for that very wonderful message, Miss Freya. We will always keep that in mind. And on behalf of our team, we would like to thank you, Miss Freya, for your presence in this podcast and acknowledging our request to share your life as a manager. Indeed, we have learned so many things about you and your experience in managing that will help us shape ourselves to become successful and effective managers in the future. Once again, we thank you, Miss Freya.
Thank you and good luck. Good luck to you guys.
So another dawn has come. Thank you, Night Owls, for staying up all night with us. And let's also give thanks to our team behind the camera, Summer Asinas, Aliana Medina, and John Luis Quaresma for being with us tonight. Without them, this podcast will not be successful. Once again, I am Leana Reyem Biahar, your host for tonight's episode.
I am Melden Andre Pipilar, your co-host.
And I am Joaquin Guliman, your co-host as well.
And it's time to bounce. Once again, this is your favorite podcast, Night Shift, the one that will stay with you until the end. Bye!
Bye.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.